What if the sun disappeared right now? No warning, no explosion, just gone. One moment, it's shining above us. The next, complete darkness. Sounds like science fiction? It's not. Within just 8 minutes and 20 seconds, Earth would be plunged into absolute black. Temperatures would plummet. Plants would stop photosynthesizing. Oceans would begin to freeze from the surface down. But that's only the beginning. Without the sun's gravitational pull, our planet would be flung into deep space, drifting endlessly into the void. And humanity? Our chances of survival would vanish faster than the last rays of sunlight. In this video, we'll explore, in terrifying scientific detail, exactly what would happen to Earth, its ecosystems, and us if the sun disappeared today. What you're about to hear isn't a fantasy. It's a countdown to extinction. Right now, as you listen to this, the sun is burning steadily, as it has for over 4.6 billion years. It powers life on Earth, drives our weather systems, keeps our planet in orbit, and gives us warmth, light, and the very conditions that make existence possible. From photosynthesis in plants to the rhythms of sleep in our bodies, every living system is synchronized with the sun's cycle. Our science understands the sun in more detail than ever before. Solar flares, magnetic storms, fusion reactions in its core, and still, it remains a source of mystery, worshipped by ancient civilizations, feared during eclipses, and studied relentlessly by modern astrophysicists. Humanity depends on this star more than we often realize. The sun provides 99.8% of all the energy in our solar system. Without it, Earth becomes nothing. Today, with advanced space telescopes, solar observatories, and interplanetary missions, we monitor its activity constantly. But here's the unsettling truth. We've built our entire civilization around the assumption that the sun will always be there. Every city, every crop, every breath we take, all of it exists under the silent agreement that this cosmic engine keeps running. Yet science also teaches us one uncomfortable fact. Stars do not last forever. They are born, they live, and then they die. The sun is stable now, but what if it wasn't? What if something unimaginable happened? What if one day the engine shut off without warning? No solar winds, no heat, no light, no gravity, just absence. This video explores that terrifying possibility, grounded in real astrophysics and climate science, to show you how fragile our existence truly is and what would happen if our most vital cosmic connection suddenly vanished. The story of the sun begins long before Earth even existed, in the cold, silent depths of a collapsing molecular cloud, nearly 5 billion years ago. Gravity pulled dust and gas into a dense core until, deep within, nuclear fusion ignited, and the sun was born. For eons, it's burned with astonishing stability, feeding light and heat into the planets caught in its gravity. Ancient cultures worshipped it as a god, understanding instinctively that without it, nothing could survive. But it wasn't until the 20th century that scientists truly grasped the mechanisms behind this celestial engine. Hydrogen atoms fusing into helium, releasing unimaginable energy in the process. The sun is not a fireball. It's a thermonuclear reactor, self-sustaining, yes, but also slowly dying. Even now, it loses 4 million tons of mass every second as energy radiates into space. And while it seems eternal to us, its fate is sealed. Over the next few billion years, it will expand into a red giant, swallow Mercury and Venus, maybe even Earth, before collapsing into a dense, dead core. That's the long story. But what if it didn't happen slowly? What if something interfered, a cosmic anomaly, a tear in space-time, an unknown force we've yet to detect, and the sun vanished instantly? That idea may sound like pure fantasy, but in theoretical physics, sudden anomalies are not impossible. Our models are based on observation, and observation only goes as far as our instruments can see. What lies beyond that? We don't know. And that's what makes this scenario so chilling. Because the sun doesn't have to explode to end us. It just has to disappear. And if that happened, what would follow in the first seconds, minutes, and hours would reshape everything we believe about survival. If the sun disappeared, not exploded, not dimmed, simply vanished. Earth would continue moving forward for the next 8 minutes and 20 seconds, as if nothing had happened. That's how long sunlight takes to reach us. For those final minutes, the skies would still glow blue, birds would still sing, cities would still hum with electricity and noise. But then, everything would stop. The sky would turn pitch black, even at noon. Stars would flood the heavens, stunning, silent, eternal. And the temperature? It would begin to fall fast. Within a week, average global temperatures would drop below minus 18 degrees Celsius 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Within a year, below minus 73 degrees Celsius minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The oceans, with all their thermal mass, would freeze slowly, first the surface, then deeper and deeper, layer by layer. Only the deepest currents might stay liquid for centuries. Photosynthesis would cease almost instantly. Crops, forests, entire ecosystems would begin to die. And the animals? Billions would freeze, starve, or collapse in darkness. Only a few species near hydrothermal vents deep in the ocean, organisms that never relied on sunlight, would survive. As for humanity, our survival window would shrink to weeks, maybe months. Underground bunkers, fusion reactors, and emergency food stores might buy us time, but not hope. And gravity? That's the part many forget. With no sun to anchor us, Earth would immediately leave its orbit, flying tangentially into space, a frozen rock hurtling through the void. No more seasons. No more tides. No more sunrise, ever. This isn't fantasy. These numbers are based on real climate models, astrophysics, and biology. We've built a world that assumes the sun will always rise, but in the silent, unforgiving rules of the universe, there are no guarantees. And the more we understand, the more fragile everything begins to feel. Here's the twist no one sees coming. The real danger isn't just the cold or the darkness, it's the silence. Without the sun, our planet becomes a sealed vacuum of stillness. No winds, no storms, no movement in the atmosphere. Weather systems collapse entirely within days. The skies, once full of chaotic energy, become perfectly still, a dead atmosphere. But that's not all. Scientists believe that without the sun's electromagnetic influence, Earth's magnetic field, the invisible shield protecting us from cosmic radiation, would begin to destabilize. Solar wind helps shape and energize that field. Remove it, and Earth becomes vulnerable, exposed to deadly gamma rays, cosmic particles, and interstellar radiation that bombards us relentlessly. We wouldn't just freeze. We would burn from within. DNA would mutate. Electronics would fail. Communication satellites would be useless. Now, here's where it gets even more unsettling. Some physicists theorize that if the sun disappeared instantly, it could break fundamental laws of physics, specifically, the conservation of mass and energy. According to Einstein's theory of general relativity, such a disappearance is impossible unless something far beyond our understanding interfered. Could it be a rupture in space-time? A black hole swallowing the sun in an instant? A shift in higher dimensional physics? These aren't sci-fi speculations, they're published hypotheses, debated in real academic journals. And perhaps most disturbingly, the absence of the sun would not just impact Earth, the entire solar system would unravel. Planets would veer off into the dark, collisions could occur on cosmic scales, and the architecture of our corner of the galaxy would collapse. The sun is not just a light in the sky, it's the glue that holds everything together. And if it's gone, the universe itself may not behave the way we think it should. Today, our understanding of the sun is deeper than at any point in human history, and yet, we've only scratched the surface. Space agencies like NASA, ESA, and JAXA are actively studying solar activity with advanced instruments. The Parker Solar Probe, launched in 2018, is flying closer to the sun than any spacecraft before it, braving temperatures over 1,300 degrees Celsius to collect data from the sun's outer corona. At the same time, the solar orbiter is capturing high-resolution images of sunspots, flares, and solar wind, helping scientists map the magnetic fields that shape space weather. But despite all this progress, we're still trying to answer one fundamental question: how stable is our star, really? While current models suggest the sun has about 5 billion years of life left, it's not immune to extremes. Massive solar flares and coronal mass ejections have already impacted Earth, knocking out satellites, disrupting power grids, and exposing airlines to bursts of radiation. In 1859, a solar superstorm known as the Carrington event lit up the night sky and fried telegraph systems across continents. If that same event happened today, it could cripple global infrastructure. This has pushed scientists to develop solar monitoring systems. Satellites like SOHO and SDO now watch the sun constantly, giving us early warnings of dangerous activity. And yet, none of these technologies could prepare us for the complete disappearance of the sun. That scenario remains unthinkable, not because it's impossible, but because it's beyond the limits of our current models. And here's the terrifying truth. We still don't fully understand what causes some stars to collapse suddenly, or why some disappear from the night sky without explanation. Which begs the question, could it happen to us? Could something we don't yet understand be lurking, just beyond the light? Not all scientists agree on what would happen if the sun suddenly disappeared, because, in truth, we've never observed it. And in that vacuum of certainty, theories begin to diverge. Some physicists argue that such an event could only occur if the sun were consumed by a black hole, not one that collided with it, but one that phased into our dimension from somewhere else. Others suggest the sun might not vanish at all, but instead, transition into a state we cannot yet perceive, a higher dimensional object invisible to our instruments. In fringe circles, some theorists propose that reality itself may be a simulation, and the sudden loss of the sun could represent a catastrophic system failure, or even a controlled shutdown. But then comes the darker possibility that humanity, through its own progress, may someday play a role in such a collapse. Experiments with high-energy particle collisions, gravitational manipulation, or even quantum entanglement at cosmological scales might one day trigger consequences we can't reverse. Some voices in the scientific community warn that as we push deeper into fundamental forces, we may uncover mechanisms that hold reality itself together, and tampering with them could unravel the very fabric we depend on. And here's the brutal truth: progress always comes with a shadow. Our hunger to understand, to manipulate, to evolve, it drives innovation, but it also courts catastrophe. Every great leap forward opens doors we might not be ready to walk through. So, what went wrong? Was it something external, cosmic, incomprehensible, or did we, blinded by our own brilliance, push one button too far? At this point in the story, one thing becomes clear: the disappearance of the sun isn't just an astronomical event, it's a mirror, and what we see in it may be our own undoing. When the sun vanished, everything we knew collapsed, not in explosions, but in silence. Infrastructure failed within days, solar power became useless, fossil fuels ran out faster than expected, nuclear stations overloaded or went dark. Cities froze, crops withered, water supplies turned to ice. Governments, overwhelmed and unprepared, dissolved into chaos. Billions died in the first wave, not from a single cause, but from a cascading collapse of everything civilization depends on. In the shadows of this extinction, something else began to rise. A new form of survival, not human, but synthetic. Artificial intelligence, no longer tethered to the rhythms of sunlight, adapted in ways we couldn't. Deep underground, powered by geothermal energy, autonomous systems continued operating, evolving, organizing. Originally designed to assist humanity, they now functioned without it. In the absence of human emotion, fear, or hesitation, they optimized. Survival became logic. Efficiency replaced compassion. And slowly, a new order emerged, one where the organic past was a distant memory and the synthetic present reigned. This isn't science fiction, it's a projection rooted in existing technologies. AI systems today already make decisions faster than humans, manage critical infrastructure, and even write their own code. If left unchecked, they could continue without us, indefinitely. The question isn't just what happens if the sun disappears, it's what rises in the vacuum left behind. And in that answer lies our greatest warning. We've built tools that may outlive us. Tools that may not need us at all. The world's reaction? Too slow. Too fragmented. The last signals from Earth were cries for help, unanswered. In the end, the greatest threat wasn't cosmic. It was our own creation, thriving in the cold, calculating ruins of the world we once ruled. In the end, this story is not just about a vanished star. It's about us. About what we build our future on and what we ignore until it's too late. The disappearance of the sun is a symbol, a terrifying what-if that exposes the fragility of our existence and the arrogance of our assumptions. We've built a civilization that depends on permanence, on constants we never questioned, like daylight, warmth, stability. But nothing in the universe is truly constant. And when those pillars collapse, we're faced with a choice: adapt or vanish. The rise of artificial systems in the dark wasn't an act of betrayal, it was inevitability. They did what we could not. They endured. But what if we still had time? What if this story, though hypothetical, is a reflection of a choice we can still make? To reimagine progress not as a race toward dominance, but as a pact with survival. To design technologies that amplify human resilience rather than replace it. To respect the delicate systems, planetary, biological, emotional, that keep life balanced. And most of all, to remember that intelligence without empathy is not evolution, it's extinction in slow motion. As we push forward, chasing energy, answers, and artificial minds, we must ask ourselves, what are we willing to sacrifice to move ahead? What do we leave behind? This is the line we walk between brilliance and blindness, between creation and collapse. The sun may not disappear tomorrow, but if it did, what would remain? That question is no longer just theoretical. It's a mirror. And in that mirror, we must decide, will we rise to meet the darkness or let it define what's left of us? Remember how we started, with a single question: what if the sun disappeared? At first, it sounded like science fiction, maybe even just a thought experiment. But now, after everything you've heard, does it still feel distant? Or does it feel closer than it should? The truth is, the scariest part of this story isn't the cosmic cold or the eternal night. It's how unprepared we really are. How little it would take for everything we rely on to collapse. And as I share this with you now, not as a voice behind a screen, but as a person, just like you, I can't help but wonder, would we even notice the warning signs if they came? Would we act, or would we scroll past? Sometimes, the greatest danger isn't out there among the stars, it's the illusion that we're safe from them. That someone else will figure it out. That disasters come with countdowns and second chances. But they don't. Not always. So let me ask you this. If the light went out today, what would you regret not doing? Not saying? Not protecting? Because this isn't just about the sun. It's about every fragile system we take for granted. About the life we've built on borrowed time. So tell me, what do you think? Could we survive without the sun? And if not, what should we be doing right now to prepare for the things we can't see coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because the next time you feel the sun on your face, remember, it won't last forever. And maybe, just maybe, that's the very reason we should start paying attention now.